Alright, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to begin this lesson by giving all glory, all honor, and all praises unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Ruach Kodash, giving double honors, double unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who surely do rule well, to the men standing by the highways and byways pushing this doctrine. I like to say shalom, and even unto the sincere Akwat, the sisters who sit listening these lessons in silence, subjection and obedience unto their husbands, I'd like to say shalom. Alright, there's a brother here, Maya Shara, coming back to you again to another bit of edification from the heralds of Yahushai camp. And Lord's willing, this lesson is edifying. Right, topic for this lesson, word of the day, April 9th, 2026, DECRY. What it means. To decry something is to express strong disapproval of it. Strong disapproval of it. The editorial decried the shuttering of the movie theater, which has been a local landmark for many years. Examples: 20 years ago, I wrote a book about the branding of youth culture called Branded, the buying and selling of teenagers. As a parent, I've come to understand that raising a child who rejects luxury goods and influencer-touted lip gloss is harder than raising a child who will eagerly decry the concept of capitalism at the dinner table. Alisa quote, lithub.com, 12th May 2025. Did you know? Decry has several synonyms in English, among them disparage and belittle, so to put some down and have it in low regard or low esteem, right? Decry suggests an open condemnation, and we had to go into this word here, right? That makes it the best choice for cases in which criticism is not at all veiled. The forthrightness expressed by the word is an echo from its ancestry. The cry was borrowed in the 17th century from the French verb décrier, meaning to discredit or lower in honor or esteem, right? Just what I said about the belittle, right? In esteem, and the crier in that word is related to the Anglo-French crier, source of the English verb cry, the oldest meaning, which is to utter loudly, shout. Be careful not to confuse decry with the similar looking and possibly related verb descry, meaning to catch sight of or to reveal, right? And just going into the online etymology to see what it says. Decry. Decry verb, to cry down, speak despairingly of. 1640s clamor against actively and publicly, from French décrier, from Old French discrier, cry out, announce, from dis apart, see this, and crier to cry, from Latin quorita, right, see cry. In English, the sense has been colored by the presumption that D in this word means down, right? And basically, what this word gave me the inspiration to go into, right, was the sentiments echoed by Habakkuk, right? Which the title for this lesson and the topic we're going to go into in this lesson, right, is 7 grievances we are caused to behold. 7 things we openly condemn and hate that we see in the world today, right? And we know this is something we could, we could see from my brother here, Habakkuk. Let me just see if I could get this in the blue letter, right? Right, this is the book here of Habakkuk, chapter 1, right? And reading from verse 1. Chaldeans used to punish Judah, right? The burden which Habakkuk the prophet did see. O Yahweh, how long shall I cry? Remember, we go into the word decry. It means to cry or cry down. Think Isaiah 58 and 1, right? Lift up your voices like a trumpet. Spare none. We cry out of all the ungodly and all the wicked things that we see in the earth today, right? O Yahweh, how long shall I cry, and thou wilt not hear? Even cry out unto thee of violence, and thou wilt not save. Why dost thou show me iniquity, and cause me to behold grievance? For spoiling and violence are before me, and there are that raise up strife and contention. Therefore the law is slacked, and this is something that we openly condemn in the earth today, the slackness of the law amongst the rulers of the nations, and judgment doth never go forth. For the wicked doth compass about the righteous, therefore wrong judgment proceedeth. Right, reading this in the AMP. Right, Chaldeans used to punish Judah. The oracle, a burdensome message, a pronouncement from power which Habakkuk the prophet saw. O Yahweh, how long will I call for help and you will not hear? I cry out to you violence, yet you do not save. Why do you make me see iniquity? Which again, this verse 3 here really highlights the topic of this lesson. Things, grievous things we are caused to behold. And I just thought the best thing to do was to tie it to that word of the day, which perfectly summed it up. We decry these things. We openly condemn these things that we see in the earth today, right? And cause me to look on wickedness. For destruction and violence are before me, strife continues and contention arises. Therefore the law is ineffective and ignored, and justice is never upheld. For the wicked surround the righteous, therefore justice becomes perverted. Right? And they spirit these people in the earth today, the rulers of the earth and the ones who live in this earth, proudly might I add, because again, right, when we went into the definition for the word DECRY, right, as you see here, it goes into, let me see, just looking right, DECRY suggests an open condemnation, right? So like if you just give me a minute here, right? DECRY suggests an open condemnation that makes it the best choice for cases in which criticism is not at all veiled. So what we openly condemn the things that we see go down in the earth today, right? Grievous things that we're going to get into. 7 things that we openly condemn in the earth today. John chapter 3, reading from verse 19, right? And this is the condemnation. I'll read from verse 17. For power sent not his son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. Speaking of the Israelite world, right? John 3:16. That world is not speaking of the whole world, but the world of Israel. He that believeth on him is not condemned, but he that believeth not is condemned already. And again, a lot of people in the earth today do not believe in this glorious gospel of the kingdom, right? Again, when what the Lord say, when the Son of Man returns, shall he find faith on earth? Second, I just make mention of what the earth being barren of faith. This is the mentality of the people in the earth. As Isaiah said, let me see that. Let me just get that real quick. Is it Isaiah? Let me see. Here's Isaiah 60. Oh, I don't know. I don't know when it's on there. Salakia. Phone playing mad. I apologize. Right, this is the book of Isaiah 60 and reading verse 2. For behold, darkness shall cover the earth. And what this darkness really speaks to what? A state of ignorance in the earth, right? People not gonna know anything, right? Shall cover the earth, gross darkness, the people. So what the people gonna be in a state of darkness? But Yahweh shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. John 3 and verse 18, right? He that believeth on him is not condemned, but he that believeth not, that darkness has overcome him, has covered him, is condemned already, because he had not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of power. His name is Yahweh Shai, and that's his only name. And this is the condemnation, that light is come into the world, and men loved darkness, that state of ignorance, being without this truth, rather than light, because their deeds were evil. Again, Right? They love the darkness rather than the light, because the light is going to shine on them and reveal the wickedness that they do. Let me get this precept real quick. No cloak, sin. I want John 15:22. If I had not come and spoken unto them, shone the light on them through these words, right? Think John chapter 1 verse 1. We get that real quick as well. Right? In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with power, and the Word was power. Speaking of Yahushai, right? His name is called the Word of Power. Revelation 19. The same was in the beginning with power. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. And the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. They stood there and pretended as though they did not see the light shining in darkness. Why? Because then you would have seen their evil deeds. Right? These people rather stay in a state of ignorance and wickedness. Why? Because it's better for them. It's easier for them to be evil than to repent and be good. That is what they rather, and this is something we openly condemn. Right? John 15:22. Again, 2 Ezra 15 verse 6 makes mention of what? For wickedness had exceedingly polluted the earth. That same gross darkness in Isaiah 60. Right? John 15:22. If I had not come, remember this man is the light, and spoken unto them, they had not had sin, but now they have no cloak for their sin. Right? So we understand that Yahushai has shone the light on these people, and we being instead of Yahushai today, we are now shining the light on them. Right? So, what are 7 grievous acts we see committed in the earth today that we are caused to behold? Things that cause us to decry. Things that cause us to what? To express strong disapproval of. Right? Right? Well, the first thing we're going to go into it is idolatry. Right? The Wisdom of Solomon 13, I'm reading from verse 10. The heading here, the foolishness of idolatry, right? Reading from the GNT Bible, Good News Translation. But the most miserable people of all are those who rest their hopes on lifeless things, who worship things that have been made by human hands, idols, images of animals artistically made from gold and silver, or some useless stone carved by someone years ago. A skilled woodworker may saw down some suitable tree, carefully strip off the bark, and then with skillful craftsmanship make from it an object that will serve some useful purpose. So it have use for wood in the earth, right? He will take the leftover pieces, the pieces that were not used, right, that were of no use, and use them as firewood to cook a meal that he can sit down to enjoy and enjoy. So even something that was left over, he still found use. But among the scrap wood, he may take one piece that isn't good for anything. Maybe it's crooked and full of knots, and carefully carve it in his leisure time, using spare moments to shape it into the crude image of a person. So think about it. You chop down a tree in the earth, maybe a cedar tree, one of the cedars of Lebanon, and you craft things that are useful to you in life. Wooden spoon to cook, the table to eat the food on, maybe even a bowl to eat the food out of, right? A chair to sit down to, firewood, to heat your water to bathe. It have uses for wood, right? But you took, after you chopped down that tree and found the pieces that were useless, you burned the pieces that were useless, used them as firewood, made use of them. But then this one small and insignificant piece, you did what? You shaped it into a human figure. Why? Verse 14, or maybe of some worthless animal. So even if it's not a human being, it's an animal, you shaped it into that. He paints it all over with red, covering up every flaw in the work. Then he prepares a suitable place in the wall for it and fastens it in place with iron nails. He is careful to keep it from falling because he knows it is only an idol and needs help. It cannot help itself. Right, verse 15 again. Then he prepares a suitable place in the wall for it and fastens it in place with iron nails. So he just set this thing over himself and made this a god. Verse 16, he is careful to keep it from falling because he knows it is only an idol and needs help. It cannot help itself. So that God is not no God, as the Lord said. Their gods are yet no gods, right? But he's not ashamed to pray to this lifeless thing about his marriage, his children, and his possessions, right? Things he might find issues and problems with in life, to help him again. Psalms 121, I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from Yahweh. So he's praying to this thing that is not Yahweh for help. Verse 18, it is weak, but he prays to it for health. It is dead, but he prays to it for life. It has no experience, but he prays to it for help. It cannot walk, but he prays to it for a successful journey. Its hands have no power, but he asks it to help him in business and making money and in his work. Right? Wisdom of Solomon 14 from 1. Wooden idols compared with Noah's wooden boat. In the same way, a man getting ready to sail on the raging sea will call for help from a piece of wood that is not as strong as the ship he's about aboard. So again, we made mention of it there. There's useful things you can do with wood, and there's useless things that you can do with wood. All things are good to the godly, but to the sinner they are turned into evil. Right? Someone designed the ship out of a desire for profit, and a craftsman built it with skill, but it is your care, O Yahweh, that steers it. You give it a safe path through the waves of the sea. People may go to sea even if they have no skill, because you can save them from any danger. It is your will that the things you have made by your wisdom should be put to use. And so people can cross the sea in a boat and come safely to land because they trust their lives to that small piece of wood. So what? It is the Most High who determines whether you live or die. The issues of life and death pertain unto the Father, right? But you pray into something that you make and not to the one that made you. How dumb is that? Verse 6. This was how it was in ancient times when a proud race of giants, Genesis 6, was dying away. The hope of the world escaped on such a boat, Noah, under your guidance, and left the world a new generation to carry on the human race. A blessing was on Noah's wooden boat that allowed righteousness to survive. But a curse is on an idol made by human hands. A curse is also on the one who makes it, because he works on this perishable thing and then calls it a god. Godly people and these ungodly things they make are equally hated by the Most High, who will punish both the things made and the people who made them. And so power's judgment will fall on pagan idols, because even though they are made from something power created, they become horrible things that trap the souls of foolish people. And this is the first thing that we decry about, we cry down, we condemn openly. Right? It's the what? It's the idolatry that we see rampant in the earth today. We're looking to head into it. Because again, do we see these things in the earth today? Yes, we do. Right? First idol I could think of, and I have a couple here as you see on the screen. This thing. This is an idol. Right? This is an idol. Right? AI overview, Statue of Liberty. The Statue of Liberty, or Liberty Enlightening the World, is a colossal copper statue on Liberty Island in New York Harbor, dedicated on October 28, 1886. It's a gift from France, the US, representing freedom and democracy, standing 305 feet tall. It was designed by Frederick Auguste Bartholdi with an iron skeleton by Gustave Eiffel, which we had this man to go into as well. Key visitor information, location, fuck that, blase, right, history and symbolism. Origin, conceived by Edward Lee Laboulaye to celebrate the Union victory in the Civil War and the end of slavery, as well as the centennial of the Declaration of Independence. Construction, built in France, disassembled, shipped, and reassembled in New York City. So look at the extents that had to go just to get this thing here. Symbolism, the broken shackles at her feet symbolize the end of slavery and oppression. Right? Let me see here. Right? So this is one idol that we see in the earth today. Right? I'll even ask. Tied to Greek god. Yes, there is it here. Right? The Statue of Liberty is heavily inspired by ancient Greek and Roman iconography. Right? Think icon and Job. Right? Iconoclasm, primarily designed to represent the Roman goddess Libertas, while sharing key symbolic features with the Greek sun god Helios. So this is an idol, right? This is an idol. This is the man who was tasked with creating this thing, right? What is Gustave Eiffel famous for? An engineer by training, Eiffel founded and developed a company specializing in metal structural work, whose crowning achievement was the Eiffel Tower. He devoted the last 30 years of his life to his experimental research. And what the Eiffel Tower is another idol we see in the earth today, right? Think what? When you go back to Genesis, it make mention of what the Tower of Babel. This is what all these things really represent. The Eiffel Tower is a 330 meter, 1,083 foot tall wrought iron lattice tower in Paris, France, designed by Gustave Eiffel for the 1889 World's Fair as a global cultural icon. So idol, and one of the most visited monuments. It features 3 accessible levels with restaurants, shops, and panoramic views. It is located on the Champ de Mars. Right? So this is an idol. Right? And again, as we read in the Wisdom of Solomon 13, hated by God. Right? Verse 8. Wisdom of Solomon 14:8 in the GNT Bible. What a curse is on an idol made by human hands, a curse is also on the one who makes it, because he works on this perishable thing and then calls it a god. You see, this man, in the kingdom of the Most High, when the kingdom is established on the earth, we're going to find this guy and we're going to deal with him. Why? Because he's an idolater. He makes idols. What other idols do we see in the earth today? Things we openly condemn and hate, that cause us to decry. Grievances we behold. This thing as well. Another idol. Mount Rushmore. What is this? Mount Rushmore National Memorial. Right? Remember the Most High said, this is his name unto all generations. Let me see that. So the Most High gave the one true memorial in the earth that is to be remembered for all generations. And you come in with your own memorials. Madness. Yep, Exodus 3, and you read from verse 13. And Moses said unto power, behold, when I come unto the children of Israel, and shall say unto them, the power of your fathers hath sent me unto you, and they shall say unto me, what is his name? What shall I say unto them? And power said unto Moses, I am that I am. That's what his name means to him when he says it. And he said, thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, I am hath sent me unto you. And power said, moreover, so continually unto Moses, thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, Yahweh, he is. Moses wouldn't go to the children of Israel and say, I am. He would say, he is. Power of your fathers, he is the power of your fathers, the power of Abraham, the power of Isaac, and the power of Jacob hath sent me unto you. This is my name forever, This is my memorial unto all generations. So this is the only important memorial in the earth that we must remember. Not this garbage. Mount Rushmore National Memorial, located in South Dakota Black Hills, features 60-foot granite faces of U.S. Presidents George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Theodore Roosevelt, and Abraham Lincoln. All of these people going down in the kingdom. Sculpted by Gutzon Borglum, another idolater, he will go down in the kingdom. We're looking for he between 1927 and 1941. It symbolizes the nation's birth, growth, and development. The site attracts millions annually. Birth, growth, and development in a failing society. Nope, right? Presidents representing the first 150 years of American history: Washington, birth; Jefferson, growth; Roosevelt, development; and Lincoln, preservation. Each head is roughly 60 feet tall, 18 meters high. Blase, blah. Right? So this is our next idol that we see in the earth today, that these people openly praise. Like when they say what? When you're saying the national anthem, think on, fuck this. See this? Fuck this. We openly decry and condemn this. This is something that is grievous for us to behold. What else? Are celebrities idols? Yes, they are. Celebrities are often treated as idols by fans, functioning as figures of admiration, aspiration, and extreme devotion. Literally, if you know his cricket, the famous cricketer Brian Lara is hailed as the greatest cricketer of all time, or one of, and he's treated as a god by the Elamites in India. This behavior sometimes termed celebrity worship syndrome. So this is a disease and a sickness in the minds of people. This is not normal, right? Can create dangerous, and this is dangerous because the Most High is coming to kill you for this. There's only one man we're supposed to worship in the earth, and that is Yahweh Shai. And we worship him because we believe in the Most High, and to worship him is to worship the Most High. He that loveth the Father loveth the Son. He cannot love the Father whom not acknowledge the Son. You have to acknowledge the Most High Son. To acknowledge him, John 14:6, no man cometh unto the Father but by me. If you're going to worship a man, worship the only man the Most High told you could worship. Fuck wrong with you people. Can create dangerous parasocial relationships where fans lose a sense of their own identity, yet they're crazy, and place celebrities on a pedestal though they are human and flawed. Exactly. Why pray to something that could be worse than you? Fuck you talking about? You see what's going on with these celebrities in think about the PDF files. If you know what I'm talking about, with the baby oil, that guy, that is our idol. That is a celebrity. That is a person people used to hold in high admiration. And what were he doing? Fuck you doing praying to these people and came out. Fuck these people. Key aspects of celebrities as idols include worship and influence. Fans may become obsessed, leading to excessive emotional investment or financial spending, given all that you have, with some reports indicating that roughly 8% of people might experience this to a high degree. Idealization, impact of social media, cultural difference. In Japanese popular culture, an idol is a specific type of entertainer marketed for their image, charm, and title, distinct from actors. Right? What other idols we see in the earth today? Just get out real quick. Deuteronomy chapter 28. I'm going to read from verse 64. I'll read this in the KJV and the GNT. You see what this says. Alright, this is the book of Deuteronomy 28 and from verse 64. Alright. And Yahweh shall scatter thee among all nations, reading from the KJV first, from the one end of earth even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods, idols as I like to call them when I see the commons, right? When I see gods and common GODS, I love to say idols, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. And among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest, but Yahweh shall give thee there trembling heart, and failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind. Right? But the verse here really being verse 64. This is a curse on the nation of Israel to serve idols. Right? And everything you've just seen, the Statue of Liberty, Mount Rushmore, celebrities, the Eiffel Tower, and even the people who were in charge and tasked with creating these things, they are idolaters. Deuteronomy 28 and verse 64, Yahweh will scatter you among all nations from one end of the earth to the other, and there you will serve other gods made of wood and stone, gods that neither you nor your ancestors have ever worshipped before. Now, it just gave us some of these clues here. Gods of wood and stone. This is an idol. The cross is the primary symbol or idol, because Christianity is idolatry of Christianity, representing the crucifixion of that guy and his victory over death. They blaspheme the name of the Most High Son and put that name there. That guy is an idol. It is often used to symbolize atonement, salvation, and the Christian faith. The term also refers to instrument of execution. So you pray to and worship something that is used to kill you, used in the Roman Empire, including a true cross, traditionally recovered by Saint Helena. Symbolism, a physical object, even there is a spirit. What we went into here to start off this video, well, not to start off, but one of the first precepts we'd have gone into when we started the point on idolatry, was it not Wisdom of Solomon 13 and Wisdom of Solomon 14? What did they say? They made the idols out of what? Out of wood. This is an idol crafted by human hands, and people pray to this. They hold this in their hand and pray, thinking the demons gonna go away, or the Most High gonna help them, but the prayer is going up in vain because the Most High don't care about you. Again, we read it in the Wisdom of Solomon 14. The idols and the makers of idols are equally hated by God. Right? A physical object, crucifix, or a visual emblem representing that guy and his sacrifice. The sign of the cross, a religious gesture made by Christians, often with the hand passing from the head to heart and shoulders. Idolatry. Right? It's idolatry. This is an idol. Deuteronomy 28 warned us of this. Right? And now it says what? Stone. But even before we go to this, we just go here. You see this guy? He's an idol. He's a demon. This is one of the plagues on the mind of the nation of Israel today. Demon. Absolute demon. This is someone that we cry about. We openly condemn this guy. Openly condemn him. Openly. Fuck Jesus. Kaaba stone. Right? Because it says what? Idols, gods you have not known, gods of wood and stone, right? Well, what's this? Just go in here to images, as you see. The Mecca. Idolatry. The black stone Al-Hajar Al-Aswad is a sacred Islamic relic embedded in the eastern corner of the Kaaba in Mecca, Saudi Arabia, dating back to the time of Adam and Eve. It is believed to have been sent from heaven, often described as a meteorite. Pilgrims kiss or touch the Kaaba stone during their circumambulation, wherever that is, tawaf of the Kaaba. Key facts about the black stone. Significance: it serves as a starting and ending point for the 7 laps of tawaf performed during Hajj and Umrah pilgrimage. Wherever. Right? Yep, this one. This one. Let me see. Yep, this right here. The stone is highly revered but not worshipped. Reverence is worship. I don't know How do you revere something and not worship it? But not worshipped, symbolizing a connection to paradise and a focal point for devotion to God. They worship this. I don't give a shit what nobody says. That is an idol, right? Idols of wood and stone, and we have seen it, right? But now, what does idolatry lead to? Why is this a plague on the nation of Israel that pisses us off? Things we openly decry about, right? Because it leads to sexual immorality. This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14, and we're going to read from verses 8 again. But a curse is on an idol made by human hands. A curse is also on the one who makes it, because he works on this perishable thing and then calls it a god. Ungodly people and these ungodly things that they make are equally hated by God, who will punish both the things made and the people who made them. And so power's judgment will fall on pagan idols, because even though they are made from something power created, they become horrible things that trap the souls of foolish people. The origins of idolatry: sexual immorality. So sexual deeds that are immoral based on the laws of the Heavenly Father began when idols were invented. So as you have just read, right, as we've just went into, we see that idols have been invented in the earth today. And it's rampant throughout the earth. Idols and idolaters, right? But does the idolaters and the worship thereof lead to anything that we should be worried about? And the answer is yes. Just go into it. Right? So before we head into, them fellas, we gotta go to this, because it says what? Idolatry leads to this, right? Because sexual immorality, as we just read, right, began when idols were invented. But these idols were invented, and as a result of these idols being invented, these religions came into the earth. So I ask this question: what are the most practiced religions in America? Christianity is the most practiced religion in America, with roughly 64 to 70% of adults identifying as Christians, right? Protestantism approximately 43 to 45%, and Catholicism approximately 20 to 22%. And if you remember, Christianity is the worship of this idol, right? So, right, are the largest denominations, followed by rapidly growing religious unaffiliated, approximately 25%, so atheists, and minority faiths like Judaism, Islam, and Hinduism, all religions filled with idolatry. And again, Islam, even one of Hinduism. God is garbage. More and more idols. So you're going to find all these religions in that place. Every last one of them. Right? And that leads to shit like this. Right? Origins of idolatry: sexual immorality began when idols were invented. They have corrupted human life ever since they were first made. And when you go into the study of these idols and how they worship these idols, if you ever go into what a temple harlot is, they would have sex in veneration of these gods and these idols. They've just been rebranded in the earth today as something new. But think of the times with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, David, and Solomon. It'll be talking about Ashtaroth and Baal and fucking all the rest of them, right? Yahweh would have given them the commandment: you shall cause none of your children to pass through to the fire with Molech. So it's just new. It's the same idols, just rebranded over and over and over again. Again, they told you what the Statue of Liberty was based off of. It was based off a Greek god Libertas, and then it was based off of the sun god Heru. How you based off two different gods from two different faiths? Because none of them faiths real. Verse 13, idols have not always existed, nor will they exist forever, because the Lord is planning to destroy these things. It was human pride that brought them into the world, and the people who run that place, right, scriptures make mention of them as being thou most proud. And that is why a quick end has been planned for them by the Most High Yahweh. So we see that idolatry leads to that kind of behavior. And if you could just bear with me here, I want to read this precept real quick. Romans chapter 1, and we're going to read from verse 21, because that, when they knew power, they glorified him not as power, right? These idol worshippers, they didn't know the Most High, they knew these idols, and they did not give glory to the one who created them. Neither were thankful, and being them meaning the ones who were practicing the idolatry, not the idols. The Most High never made no idol, right? But became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools, and changed the glory of the uncorruptible power into an image made like to corruptible man. Again, what they said, the idol is a small piece of scrap wood that not good for nothing, and what they shape it in the form of either a human or the form of what? An animal. Image like the corruptible man, and to birds and four-footed beasts and creeping things, creations, not the creator. Wherefore power also gave them up to uncleanness through the lusts of their own hearts, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves, who changed the truth of power into a lie, and worshipped and served the creature more than the creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. For this cause power gave them up unto vile affections. So because of idolatry, you were given up to what? Vile affections. For even their women, they changed the natural use into that which is against nature. And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lusts, one toward another, men with men, working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense of their error which was meet. This is a big reason why you must hate idolatry, because it leads to sexual immorality. Right? Going now to Revelation chapter 11, we're going to read from verse 8. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, speaking of America, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt. And we're going to see why they were spiritually called Sodom. We even bring out why they were spiritually called Egypt. Why? Because one of the biggest idols is seen in America, the Statue of Liberty, was based off of an Egyptian god, where also our Lord was crucified. He was X'd out of our minds because we were too focused on the idols. And they of the people and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves. Right? So being dead how? Being spiritually dead, because worshipping of idols leads to spiritual death. Right? And what? That, as a result, leads to this kind of behavior. The Libekotek people, as I like to call them, is an acronym for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer, or questioning all results of idolatry. So what this behavior is, behaviors, grievous things we are caused to behold, that we openly condemn, acting as an umbrella term for sexual and gender minorities. In so minor right now, it represents diverse sexual orientations and gender identities, often extended to LGBTQIA, to include intersex and asexual and other identities. The community focuses on equality, rights, and inclusion, but these people should die. Right? These people should die, because these sins, nah. So, now I went and asked this question, because again, if I could just get this precept real quick. This is the book of 2nd Ezra chapter 15 and reading verse 6. For wickedness, in fact, I'll read from verse 4. For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness, and again, you are counted as the unfaithful if you worship idols, right? Behold, saith Yahweh, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. Was not Egypt plagued with plagues? Right? And what Egypt was known for idolatry. Just look it up. Verse 6, for wickedness had exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. This is wickedness, gay capital of the world. Several cities are recognized as potential gay capitals of the world, with New York City often cited for its historically large, influential population. Other top contenders include San Francisco, a historic gay mecca, Tel Aviv, we homeland, known for its massive Pride and Middle Eastern hub, and Sao Paulo, host to the world's largest Pride parade. Right? Contenders for capital of the world, New York City, USA, frequently recognized as a central node of that socio-political life with a deeply integrated, loud and proud community. San Francisco, USA, again, known as a historic mecca and a pioneer in the fight for rights. Tel Aviv, Israel, the land where the Most High's eyes are continually upon from year to year, has this kind of behavior in it. What do you think the Most High gonna do to this place? We must openly condemn this behavior, because the Most High, He ain't having it. Right? Often called capital of the Middle East, it is recognized for its intense nightlife, progressive culture, which that kind of behavior is actually regressive to a culture, because what children will not be born from that kind of behavior. They're not going to be born. So the population actually going to die out in a couple of years if you keep up with that behavior. And massive summer pride events, blase, blase, blah. So this is behavior that we openly condemn. Openly. Right? Go into it. Right? This is the book of Isaiah 19 and verse 14. Yahweh mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and I have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof, as a drunkard man staggereth in his vomit. There is the book of Isaiah 26 and verse 10. Let favor be showed to the wicked, Esau and Edom, the ones who currently envy land. Yahweh shall make mention of what? And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. And what is Ezekiel 36 and 2? The enemy had said, aha, the ancient high places are ours in possession. Who currently dwells in the homeland right now are who you would know as the biblical Edomites, or the so-called YT man. In the land of uprightness, that land where they dwell in, will he deal unjustly. That is an unjust behavior, an unjust practice, and will not behold the majesty of Yahweh. So he's not going to learn to do the right thing in that land. As we see, it's one of the capitals in the earth for that type of behavior. And that is the next thing we have to talk about. And that is the next thing we have to openly condemn. And that is the next thing that has pissed me off. The current state of the land of Israel and the current state of the planet that we live in. These people, something has to be done. In the book of 2nd Ezra 11 and verse 46. That all the earth may be refreshed and may return, being delivered from thy violence, and that she may hope for the judgment and mercy of him that made her. And it's a violent thing that the earth has to behold and go through all of the shit that Esau and Edom does. especially that kind of behavior we just went into. Again, not Yahweh, right? You would have made mention of saying, what to the children of Israel? Take heed unto thyself and to the practices that ye do, that the land spew you not out, as the land spewed out the inhabitants of the land that were before you, who you go to destroy. That kind of behavior does only cause the earth to cry, and does only cause the land of Israel to want to kick the inhabitants out. Luke 21, verse 24. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive, speaking of the Israelites, into all nations, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles, right, until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. When I get Ezekiel 36, I'm going to read from verse 1. Also, thou son of man, prophesy unto the mountains of Israel, and say, ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of Yahweh. Thus saith Yahweh power, because the enemy, who is the chief enemy of the nation of Israel, had set against you, aha, so the laughing, mocking, and scorning, even the ancient high places are ours in possession. Right? Jumping down here to verse 5. Verse 5, therefore thus saith Yahweh power, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, and against all Idumea, which have appointed my land into their possession with the joy of all their hearts, with despiteful minds to cast it out. For I pray they have no regard for the land that they dwell in, because that is the most holy land in the earth. And again we see this is the kind of behavior that goes down in that land. Not only are we mad, but Yahweh is extremely pissed at these people. This is the book of Deuteronomy 11 and verse 22. A land, reading this from verse 9, Deuteronomy 11 and 9, and that ye may prolong your days in the land which Yahweh sware unto your fathers to give unto them and to their seed, a land that floweth with milk and honey. For the land whither thou goest in to possess is not as the land of Egypt, from whence he came out, where thou sowest thy seed and waterest it with thy foot, as a garden of herbs. But the land whither ye go to possess it is a land of hills and valleys, and drinketh water of the rain of heaven, a land which Yahweh thy power cared for. For the eyes of Yahweh thy power are always upon it, from the beginning of the year even unto the end of the year. The Lord is constantly concerned with the state of that place. And right now, the behaviors that are going on in that place ain't too pleasing to the Heavenly Father. They 2 Corinthians 5 and verse 24, and of all lands the whole world thou hast chosen thee one pit, and of all the flowers thereof one lily. These pits speaking of these land masses in the earth, right? All of any place in the world the Most High could have chose, he chose that land, and those are the behaviors that go on in that place. So what? The Most High is pissed off. So the Most High are all crying out against these people. Again, we now read it in Ezekiel 36. Right? Yeah. Therefore saith Yahweh, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, and against all Idumea. So what? The Most High condemned them. The Most High condemned the people who dwelt in that land, who dwelling in that land right now, because of the behaviors that they are doing there. Right? And what is something else we are caused? What is something else that we are caused to grievously behold in the earth today, that pisses us off and that we openly condemn? And we close with this one and do a part 2, because I don't see me reaching close to an hour. And it is something else we cause to behold in this earth that is grievous unto us, that we decry about, that we openly condemn. Is the people who run in the earth. Because believe it or not, the people who run in the earth, dwelling in the land and doing all that shit. But what? They also not just run in that land, they run in the whole compass of the earth, and they oppressing we. Ecclesiastes 10 and verse 7. I'll read from verse 5. I'll read it in the GNT. Book of Ecclesiastes 10, reading from verse 5 in the GNT. Here's an injustice I have seen in the world, an injustice caused by rulers. But what? It made mention of it being what? In the KJV, an error that proceeded from the ruler. Who's the ruler? Daniel 4:17. The Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and he giveth it to whomsoever he will, and he gave it to the basis of men, which is these people you've seen, the people who currently run Israel. That idol I show you were famous in the earth today, who was on the cross. He wasn't on no cross, but they portray as though he was the one who went on the cross. Them people running the earth today. That is something grievous for us to behold. Ecclesiastes 10 and 5 continuing. 10 and 6. Stupid people are given positions of authority while the rich are ignored. And who's the rich? The Israelites. Specifically the elect of the nation of Israel. I know thy poverty, I know thy tribulation, but thou art rich. Rich in what? Faith and in this truth. Rich in the knowledge and the Most High. Verse 7. I have seen slaves on horseback, while noblemen go on foot like slaves. Reading this in the GNT, there's an evil which I have seen under the sun as an error which proceeded from the ruler. Right, so Solomon see this vision and he thought he was seeing something wrong, because he's like, what? These people? Folly sit in great dignity, and the rich sit in low place. I have seen servants upon horses, and princes walking as servants upon the earth. Who were the princes that he saw on horses? This motherfucker, which we would have read about him to start this, or close to the beginning when we would have went into Mount Rushmore. He is one of the men you see on Mount Rushmore, Theodore Roosevelt, a slave riding in a position as though he's a ruler, and he have the real rulers as slaves in the earth today. Baruch 3 and verse 8. Behold, we are yet this day in the land of our captivity. This is something that is grievous for us to behold, to see these base men running the earth today. In the book of Job chapter 30, reading from verse 1. But men younger than I make fun of me now. Their fathers have always been so worthless that I wouldn't let them help my dogs guard sheep. They were a bunch of worn out men, too weak to do any work for me. They were so poor and hungry that they would gnaw dry roots at night. In wild, desolate places, they pulled up the plants of the desert and ate them, even the tasteless roots of the broom tree. Everyone drove them away with shouts as if they were shouting at thieves. And what these people were, thieves and vigilantes in the earth. Think about the mark that the Most High put on Cain. And what he said, I am a vagabond shall thou be. So these people lived out where it is the Most High said would happen to them as a result of the actions of their forefather Cain. Right. Verse 11, And now art thou cursed from the earth, which had opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thine hand. When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shall thou be in the earth. And Cain said unto Yahweh, my punishment is greater than I can bear. So what? These people lived that curse, and what? They were fugitives in the earth. Right? They, as if, verse 5, everyone drove them away with shouts as if they were shouting at thieves. They had to live in caves and holes dug in the sides of cliffs. Mount Seir, the Caucasus Mountains, out in the wilds they howled like animals and huddled together under the bushes, a worthless bunch of nameless nobodies. They were driven out of the earth. And this worthless bunch of nameless nobodies have a name in the earth. A name that the Most High gave them. They are the wicked. That is who they're known by. That is how they're known in the earth. Job 9:24. But the wicked, right, was given such great power in the earth. Daniel 4:17. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, Where and who is he? The wicked was given rule over the earth, and that is something grievous that we are caused to behold, something we cry out about, something we decry about, something we openly condemn. Psalms 12 and verse 8, and we'll close with this. The wicked walk on every side when the vilest men are exalted. Again, Habakkuk 1, the wicked doth compass about the righteous. He that departed from evil, Isaiah 59, maketh himself a prey, but a prey to whom? Firstly and chiefly beginning with the rulers that be in the earth today. So a psycho has been put in charge of the earth. People who agree with the disgusting behaviors and the wicked acts that we would have went into this land: idolatry, sexual immorality, stealing and destroying the land. These are the people who run the earth today, and this pisses us off, right? So this has been 4 of the 7 grievances that we are caused to behold, right, based on the word of the day, DECRY. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying and that you were edified. In closing, we like to say, Kal halal yamla Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahushai, Ba'asham Rachak Kodash. Like to give double honors, double unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who surely do rule well. To the men standing by the highways and byways pushing this doctrine, we like to say Shalom. And even unto the sincere awkward, the sisters who sit listen these lessons in silence, subjection and obedience unto their husbands, we like to say Shalom. This was your brother here, Maya Shala, from the Heralds of Yahweh Shai Camp, right? Until next time, I like to say Shalom.